1163 states that every person obliged to give something is also obliged to take care of it with the proper diligence of a good father of a family, unless the law or the stipulation of the parties requires another standard of care. The above provision refers to an obligation specific or determinate thing. A thing is said to be specific or determinate if it is particularly designated or physically segregated from others of the same class. For example, the watch I am wearing, the Volvo car with plate number GC03CNK, or the house at the corner of Main Street and Square Avenue. How about for the indeterminate thing? A thing is generic or indeterminate when it refers only to a class or genus to which it pertains and cannot be pointed out with particularity. For examples, a Rolex watch, or a 2020 edition Volvo car, or a condominium unit. There are different duties of the debtor in the obligation to give a determinate thing. First is to preserve the thing. In obligations to give, or real obligations, the obliger has the incidental duty to take care of the thing due with the diligence of a good father of a family pending delivery. But what do we mean by diligence of a good father of a family? The phrase has been equated with ordinary care, or that diligence which an average or a reasonably prudent person exercises over his own property. Next is to deliver the fruits of the thing, which will be further discussed under Article 1164. The third is to deliver the accessions and accessories discussed under Article 1166. Then, we have deliver the thing itself, which is stipulated in Article 1163. And lastly, to answer for damages in case of non-fulfillment or breach, further delivered under Article 1170. There are also a couple of duties of a debtor in the obligation to deliver a generic thing. First, he should deliver a thing which is of the quality intended by the parties, taking into consideration the purpose of the obligation and other circumstances. Second, he is liable for damages in case of fraud, negligence, or delay in the performance of his obligation or contravention of the tenor. Article 1164 states that the creditor has a right to the fruits of the thing from the time the obligation to deliver it arises. However, he shall acquire no real right over it until the same has been delivered to him. The fruits mentioned by law refer to the following. First, natural fruits. They are the spontaneous products of the soil and the young and the other products of animals. Examples, we have grass, all trees and plants on lands produced without the intervention of human labor. Second are industrial fruits, which are those produced by lands of any kind through cultivation or labor. Some examples are sugarcane, vegetables, rice, and all products of lands brought about by reason of human labor. Third are civil fruits, which are those derived by virtue of our juridical relation. Examples are rents of buildings, price of leases of lands, and other property, and the amount of perpetual or life annuities or other similar income. Let's define the two different rights as mentioned earlier: personal right and real right. Personal right is the right or power of a person to demand from another as a definite passive subject the fulfillment of the latter's obligation to give, to do, or not to do. On the other hand, real right is the right or interest of a person over a specific thing, like ownership, possession, and mortgage, without a definite passive subject against whom the right may be personally enforced. There are different distinctions between these two rights. First, in personal right, there is a definite active subject and a definite passive subject, while in real right, there is only a definite active subject without any definite passive subject. Second, a personal right is binding or enforceable only against a particular person, while a real right is directed against the whole world. Ownership and other real rights over property are acquired and transmitted in consequence of certain contracts by tradition or delivery. In sale, for example, mere agreement on the terms thereof does not affect transfer of ownership of the thing sold in the absence of delivery, actual or constructive, of the thing. The meaning of the phrase, "he shall acquire no real right over it until the same has been delivered to him," is that the creditor does not become the owner until the specific thing has been delivered to him. Hence, there has been no delivery yet. The proper court action of the creditor is not one for recovery of possession and ownership, but one for specific performance or rescission of the obligation. Article 1165 states, when what is to be delivered is a determinate thing, the creditor, in addition to the right granted him, may compel the debtor to make the delivery. If the thing is indeterminate or generic, he may ask that the obligation be complied with at the expense of the debtor. If the obliger delays or has promised to deliver the same thing to two or more persons who do not have the same interest, he shall be responsible for fortuitous event until he has effected the delivery. The first part covers remedies of creditor in a specific real obligation. In a specific real obligation, or the obligation to deliver a determinate thing, the creditor may exercise the following remedies or rights in case the debtor fails to comply with his obligation. First, demand specific performance or fulfillment of the obligation with the right to the indemnity for damages, or demand rescission or cancellation in any cases of the obligation, also with the right to recover damages. And thirdly, demand payment of damages only where it is the only feasible remedy. In an obligation to deliver a determinate thing, the very thing itself must be delivered. Consequently, only the debtor can comply with the obligation. This is the reason why the creditor is granted the right to compel the debtor to make that delivery. A generic real obligation, or the obligation to deliver a generic thing, on the other hand, can be performed by a third person since the object is expressed only according to its family or genus. It is thus not necessary for the creditor to compel the debtor to make the delivery, although he may ask for the performance of the obligation. In any case, the creditor has the right to recover damages under Article 1170 in case of breach or violation of the obligation. The third paragraph gives two instances when a fortuitous event does not exempt the debtor from responsibility. For determinate things, the debtor is allowed to delay delivery. In case of generic things, an indeterminate thing cannot be the object of destruction by a fortuitous event because genus never perishes. Article 1166 states that the obligation to give a determinate thing includes that of delivering all its accessions and accessories, even though they may not have been mentioned. So what do accessions and accessories denote? Accessions are the fruits of a thing or additions to or improvement upon a thing, or the principal. Examples are house or trees on lands or rents of a building. Accessories, on the other hand, are things joined to or included with the principal thing for the latter's embellishment, better use, or completion. Some examples are keys of the house, frame of a picture, bracelet of a watch, machinery in a factory, or bow of a violin. Note that while accessions are not necessary to the principal thing, the accessory and the principal thing must go together. Both can exist only in relation to the principal. Accession is also used in the sense of a right, or right to the fruits or accessories of a thing.